So on the issue of Apple, they're always so pessimistic, aren't they? Is tonight going to be any different?
Yeah, I think what we really got to look at is the pressure on Apple because we had these knockout earnings reports from Facebook and Microsoft and Alphabet already this week. And so the pressure is on for Apple to show that it can perform just as well during this pandemic as these other big tech companies. And on top of that, the China exposure is a big story that you have to pay attention to. Apple is showing a lot of recovery signs there over the last couple quarters after whiffing about a year ago. And now that's with all the store closings in China and the production issues where all their iPhones and other products are made. That's going to be the real thing to look. Can they hang on to those gains that they were clawing back at in China over the last couple quarters?
No, it's a great point. And is China going to be, we hear Steve Bannon this morning talking about, holding China responsible for coronavirus when we, have reports since denied on the Washington Post about, again, in using our debt as a weapon against them. You wonder, is Apple too reliant on China?
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge part of their annual revenue or their quarterly revenue. And with stores closed, now it's starting to open back up. In fact, this is the test bed in China for Apple of how they're going to open up back when they come here. It's going to be interesting to hear on the call today if they put forward a plan for reopening the Apple stores here in the United States and elsewhere in Europe and other countries that got affected later than China. And then on top of that, just the whole economic downturn has these questions about the price of Apple products, these $1,000 iPhones at the top tier. But what I noticed was Apple has these cheaper suite of products that are really appealing and just as good. Last week, they launched the iPhone SE, which starts at $400, and it's just as good as the $1,000 iPhone 11 Pro. It has a smaller screen, but the internal components, it performs just as well as those top-tier iPhones. So those could be attractive things to continue to juice iPhone sales even as we experience this economic downturn.
Yeah, and the president said he spoke with Tim Cook a week or so back and that Cook himself expected a V-shaped economic recovery. And I wonder if that's true, because I think it would actually put him in the minority of most people. But I will be listening to see if their guidance in general echoes that point of view.
Yeah, or even if they have guidance, they already kind of dialed it back a little bit in February when they did that initial warning. And I would not be surprised if, like everyone else that we've seen, they start pulling guidance. And the other thing is the share buybacks. We all know that Apple spends so much money on share buybacks. Will it do what Google and Alphabet did earlier this week and say we're going to continue that? They have plenty of cash on hand to continue it. They're continuing to pay their workers. They're not laying people off. So they might have a little bit of a buffer there to say, hey, we're going to go ahead with these massive share buybacks anyway, even though the environment is kind of against them. There's a lot of criticism around that.
Yeah. So again, the quarter, the expectation is 6% drop in revenue, 11% drop in earnings. Any other specifics you're going to be looking at, price points or, unit types of sales, things like that this afternoon?
Yeah, well, back to China. China. Yeah. It's going to be the big one to look at because they had the virus earlier than us. The shutdown was earlier than us. And that's a huge exposure there for Apple. So that's going to be the thing I'm watching for the most. And on top of that, any kind of plans about reopening the retail stores outside of China is going to be a big deal. And then looking forward, down to the fall, we have to start thinking about the next round of iPhones. We already heard that report in the Wall Street Journal a few days ago that they're going to ramp up production about a month later than usual. And that could mean they're thinking demand's not going to be as high for these expensive phones, and they're going to be promoting those cheaper products instead.
Yeah. The Iliad and Amy Poehler on the shelf behind you. Steve, I'm going to have some questions.
Amy Poehler's my wife. That's my wife's book.
Amy Schumer, Amy Poehler, too. All right, the shot's falling out. We got to let go. Steve, thank you, sir. We'll see you soon.